Okay, guys, we'll finish up here with a look at Ethereum. Now, I had asked you guys for the most optimistic looking chart in the alt space. I don't know if this is it, but it's so let's call it the lesser of many evils. There's no question this chart is a big disappointment. We've got to adjust the count now, but overwhelmingly this had the most votes here. So we'll take a look at it here. It's this no question. This is disappointing to see, right? There were several different ways we were looking at counting this, but now with this coming down here, oh, right, we're so far outside of this set of median lines that I think we can take these off now. We had looked at a couple of different ways to count this, but at this point in time, I think we're past any hope that we were in a 4 here. So just swing low to swing high. You can see now we've had the break from the low. So the golden zone break, that's a big negative. See, we had considered a deep 4 here. Can you see we golden zone to the tick, and then we got that reaction. But with this drop off here, now I think you can put that to bed, particularly based on the fact that we're staring at a 5 coming down here. So we had to rework the account, so you have to allow for the extension here in the 5 of the third within the third, so you can get your impulse there. So unfortunately, it does play. All right, we had considered it would have been ideal to go 1, 2, 3, 4 and get a bigger 5. It just doesn't happen. All right, so that's often the case with a wave count. You adapt to what the market shows you, and as it moves, we relabel, reorient. And right now, we just draw what conclusions we can from it here in terms of probabilities as to where we're likely going next or to how this resolves. So if we're now resigned to the idea that this is a completed one wave, so let's go ahead and label that up, and remains to be seen. Oh shit, where those are going to be. Sorry, let's get that going again. Now let me get that up to. Let's go up. Get it in white. Okay, so. Don't forget, you got to put this in context, right? So this is a 4-hour chart, and you get all, zoned in here, and you think you got to put it in context. So you got to pull back out and say, wait a minute, where am I in the larger trend? Well, see, this didn't have the perfect low that Bitcoin did, but it was fairly close here. So here's the 50. We get a little sloppy down here. We get well through that target, and it could be that there are other swings that were in play there, but you do have to consider if I get it on the low here, well, if I just use that pivot, now I'm at the 23. If I use this pivot, if I'm right on there, it's pretty close to right on the 38. So you've got a bit of confluence here of resistance working from the last dominant. So it's well, so there's a couple of things that we can do. So that's duly noted, right? So dominant to the 38, okay, that's resistance. We know that's always going to be there, just like the 50, the 618. If this is going to eventually go back up, challenge those highs, well, we got to get the one started somewhere. And I do think here now. Let me go back. Let's try a 3-hour here. Let's go back to the 3. We can. I don't know about eliminate a few possibilities, but let's consider some scenarios here in terms of how this resolves. Well, here's 0 down here. Okay, so if we put this in context, if we're going to stick to the idea that this is an impulse off of a significant low, what was our low down here? 82. Well, hard to argue with the 5 going in. So A, B, C up for that, and then where do we go here, right? So even if let's see if we can construct the roadmap here and see if there's anything here to lean into. If we just work standard ops, length of the third, here we're 38 to the tick. Right, interesting, right? That was 38 to the tick. 38 to the tick. Now we're not to the target, but I can see a 1, 2 looks like it's going in. Maybe the 3 and the 4 are just underway here. Looks like you could make a case for that. So it looks like I can go 1, 2. I have to check and see if that's long enough, right? But something like that would finish the A wave, right? You can't. Well, so if you're an Elliott trader, it's hard to say, oh, okay, 5 down, we're done. It's a brutal force fit to try and turn that into an ABC. Even if so, the only way you might be able to be thinking along those lines is to think, oh, ABC. into an A wave here, but that's not deep enough for a flat. ABC, I mean, it's awfully shallow for an X. So I think you're stuck with the 5 here. So let's just assume we come down here and we complete at this algo target. All right, so I'll just put that in here. It's not guaranteed. The structure might hold it. I mean, we don't necessarily get right to it to the tick, but I think you could say path of least resistance here is lower, right, to complete this 5. And let's see, we could also, just to look for any more confluence, length of the 1 projected from the 4. So you do get a little pocket down here where you'd have all of this kind of setting up here with the algo target from the 2. Right, so I get a nice little pocket down here where I'm anticipating perhaps a reaction. All right, so let's get all of that off here. Okay, so let's play that out. Suppose we come down here, I complete a 5. Okay, correction can't be over there. So what are we going to do here? So let's just, we'll just use the lower pivot. Okay, we're coming back up from this, right? So we're going to be looking for a 3 to do it. That would put you back down here just using the algo target. Now, could that work? Let's just call it 100 for just a round number. Could that work? Well, it's going to be tight, right? So could we put, maybe we can get, let's get the 887 on that. Bring this up here. Well, that would be quite the goal line stand, right, to hold it as an internal retracement. Technically, right, as long as we stay above that pivot, it could play that way. But if you're bullish, right, it's just certainly bad news, right? I can't get it over. It's certainly bad news, right? We don't. You know, even if you say, "Oh, fuck the Elliott," right? I mean, it's really hard to make a case for any sort of bullish bottom to be coming in here. It's just so what? Okay, so let's see if you're a bull and you're trying to hang on. Okay, so what do you got? All right, I got this lower range here that I'm coming up to that. I can see I've got plenty of market acceptance down here. Well, you've got very little to cling to. There's not much geometry to help you. The only thing really you've got to work with here is you're coming down into a prior area where the market found support. It found buyers, you know, as after the long sell-off coming down here, tested, retraced. Now we're through, so back to test it again. Well, it's hard to find a chart pattern here, Elliott or not, that would be particularly supportive of anything here. So really you're just buying on the idea, okay, well, likely there will be accumulation down here. I don't have too far to go. If I'm accumulating down here in the 150 to 80 range, I'm to some degree, you're making the bet that we're not going to zero. And while you may experience some drawdown if we break this low, you're really saying, I don't think we're going to zero with Ethereum. Right? I don't think we are, but you know, shit, I'm wrong all the time, right? So that I mean, we all are, right? So don't get get your ego caught up in there. Shit, I'm wrong way more than I'm right, but you don't have to. Fortunately, in trading, you don't have to be right more than you're wrong to make money. That's what keeps us interested and still working and progressing and learning, right? If you go through a period where you're right more than you're wrong, count your blessings, right? Ride it while you're hot is essentially what that amounts to, because it's likely not to last, right? So that's just the reality of trading, right? You don't have to be, as long as your money management is right. You can be, if you're right 30-40% of the time, you can have one hell of a trading career. So let's just kind of put this back together. I don't know that there's much to lean on here in terms of the buy side, other than just, well, shit, it's this low, right? We can start accumulating down here. You got no help there's no algos to support it, unless you're thinking, oh, okay, it's just a little wick through, but they're going to hold it. If they're going to hold that, yeah, well, you're clinging, you're really clinging to the hopium there. You can't, as an Elliott trader, you can't finish it there. It's just not an option. So you say, oh, fuck the Elliott. All right, so what else do I have? Do I have any kind of, can I get a channel on this? Maybe something like this would hold it if we connect those two. All right, maybe that's your last hope here, that I can connect three lows here with the break of the golden zone. And so you might be able to talk yourself into the idea, okay, maybe I've just got a little sloppiness here, a little volatility, but algos are going to defend here and we'll drive out of here. Well, it sure better happen fast. Right, so let's just take the Elliott off. Series of lower lows, lower highs. Do you have a channel here? Well, let's just see if I can get a channel to work here. I can work a trend line here. Oh shit, that's enough. So at the very least here, can I get a break through this? Well, we know, right? If heavy emphasis on if I'm going to get a pivot there. Well, there's sure as hell going to be resistance on the way back up, right? This will be challenge. Now note here all of this structure. So but that also then again kind of tees you up heading back down towards this lower range here, where we'd really be clinging to the idea that we could still think of this as a 2, which technically we could, right? As long as it stays above this pivot, we could go a tick in front of it. That would be extremely rare, but it's, a tick is a tick, right? So it's possible. Then just trying to, is there anything else here that might guide me? Right, you're going to set up a perfect golden corner. It's not a lot. There's not a lot here that says anything other than, even if I get a rally, that's likely we're not done yet, right? And that, again, right, it's all just probabilities, right? It's not that it's not that we're guaranteed, that we cannot possibly, there's no way in this world that this can possibly break that high because I just had 5 down, right? Let's be realistic, right? We know that's not it. We don't get certainty. We get probabilities. The probability of that bottoming here is lower than the idea that we're going to, if we do push off of this, there will be at the very least, at the very, very least, another test of that low. Maybe bulls get out of here with their teeth. Something like this. We come back down here. Maybe that trend line starts to kick in and hold it. I mean, you're really clinging here to, okay, A, B, C, truncate the C. Would you have any hesitation buying there? Well, I suppose if this came down here and you had just a textbook 5 coming down, you might ease into something there. But it sure is going to have to be technical and just absolutely lay down as a beautiful 5 to think, oh, it's so good that truncated C wave. Now, we did see that 2017. It was very common, right? It was the impatience of the market that we saw these truncated Cs pretty much the whole way up. So really what you're saying is, okay, I think that I've got a reasonable case here to stay between these two golden zones. That's about the best, but this is going to, is there any help down here? Well, you're pinned pretty hard down here. The RSI has already had a little relief out of being pinned so hard. You do have some divergence here. All right, there's no question. You've got a little of that. So this here is friendly to bulls, right? We've got a new low here. The oscillator doesn't go with it. Looks like a double bottom in the RSI and not much here in the Weiss wave. Sellers still in control. So I don't know how hard I'd be leaning into this. I would not be a buyer here. If this comes up here and we kick up to this golden zone, I don't know that I'd be looking to be a seller either, but if I came down here the next time where I think you could reasonably make a buy, well, there's two places. So if we start to come out of here, and I'd want to see a good strong bar before I started buying down here, since I'm already through the golden zone. If I start to rip out of here, if you're comfortable on the short side, the trade, whether it's the 50 or the golden zone, you're going to have a potential trade to come down, because more probable is that, well, at the very least, we'd come down here. right? We'd come back down here towards that algo target. Why would you bet against that? Here's the 786 point of control. So that's certainly there, right? So you might end up with this. Then we'd get a 3 that would get us to finish. We'd stay above the low, and then you could, right? This algo target really wouldn't be a factor here because of the 618 breaking. Pardon me, of the 6.5 breaking. So even though that's there, what you'd be doing at that point, knowing you've lost the sell side algo, you're going to need to pick up an algo on the ride. You're going to need this guy right there to support you, to get you up there. That's what you're going to need, and that's likely just the one wave. So until you get a decent, well, you'd need it here too. So even if this does play this way, because here's another possibility, right? If we come down here, at least you get a buy side algo there. Right, on the retrace, if we get to the 50, you've got a contender here. Now, what if we do that? Well, it doesn't eliminate the possibility that you're going to just be right back here doing this, right? So that you can finish the thing as a 3. Get you over here, right? So this, we can get rid of that. Right, that still sets up the 2 down here. Right, if you got, so here we can just put that together. So off of the low, right there it is. So let's put the algo target. That would put you at the 786. These are your, I don't want to say best case scenario. Best case scenario is that you do that, right? But boy, is this going to be hard for Elliottians to be back here counting that out. But something like that certainly wouldn't be shocking, right? Right to the 786 for a B wave with the 3-wave structure, 5 down for the 2. Sure, that flies. But right now, we need some legs out of here, or this is just going to get progressively worse. Where the next stop looks like point of control down here at the 786. If that's gonna get weaker over the weekend, that's where you're likely next area of support. You don't have much, and even then, you're leaning into what's over here. Maybe some of this structure here prior buying activity gets defended down here. Otherwise, right, if we're going after that low, this starts looking really, really ugly. So it would be nice timing here. This would be a last minute, by the skin of your teeth save for the bulls. All right, but I would not be expecting 5 to come out of there. Okay, guys, there we go. All right, that's probably all that I can add there. It's really disappointing at what we ended up with there, but there it is, right? Market is always right. Okay, guys, talk to you later.